And he says to her, once you understand the nature of a thing, you know what it's capable of. And I
Mm.
was like, dang, that's such a interesting dope line because the guy comes back and basically
Right on
Blade is
cue.
like, I understand this world. I
Yeah.
understand not only the vampires in this world, but the human beings that serve the vampires in this
Mhm.
world. And I know how they operate. And that's why I stay on top.
Yeah. I think just that line in itself when he dropped that, first of all, let's paint the scene right. He's sitting in the drop back joint, just chilling in all black. And
Right.
he's not
In the
he's
muscle
not
car. Right.
he's not panicking, he's not doing
Right.
anything. He's just peeping the set. She's over here twitchy and everything, and she's like, "What's going on?" And he's trying to look at her like, "Be easy. I got this. I
They
know what I'm
coming
doing."
back. Yep.
That calm, that sense of like, I'm taking charge. I'll help steer you in the right direction so that not only am I going to teach you how to fish, but I'm going to teach you how to cook it right, prepare it
Yes.
right, so that you can pass the knowledge on. Because at the end of the movie, Dr. Jensen is out here popping cures for vampirism.
Right. Right.
And one could argue that vampirism is an analogy for whatever uncurable diseases out there. They touch
Right.
upon sickle cell. They also
Right.
touch upon about other autoimmune diseases and
Yep.
finally cancer when Chris Christopherson's character.
Yes, and I mean, and the thing is like, and that's the thing, they use Karen Jensen so well
Hmm.
because she's the stand-in for the audience, right? Because
Yep.
she's getting exposed to this world like we are,
Hmm.
but then they make her such an active proponent in it.
Yeah.
Even though she gets kidnapped, she's never a damsel in distress.
No,
And
no.
I really appreciate how they did that with her. They made her active. Like that scene when they're about to go into the club and he gives her the gun. He's like, you know how to use this, and she's like, I can learn. And she clips the joint. Like
Yeah, I
that's like what
learned
that's
real
like.
quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what she said. Yeah, that's like some 1975
Hmm.
Pam Grier. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? With
Yeah.
Jim Brown walking
Mhm.
into a scene kind of thing, man. And that, like, even if you never saw that, you know it when you see, like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I gets with that. So I like how they used her in the movie. We talked about Steven Dorff. We talked about like obviously Deacon Frost. What about Quinn and how Quinn
Mm.
is like the
Donnell Lou.
perfect comic relief villain? Like Quinn is funny, he's dangerous, but it's like you're always like, oh, I want to see what's gonna happen to Quinn in this
Shout
movie.
out to him too, because in real life he's kind of eccentric. Like he's very practical and stuff. He's not one of those snobby, elitist actors and stuff from the
Yeah.
stories that I've read about him. And another interesting tidbit is he was also in Gotham as Detective Bullock. So this is not the first
That's
like.
right.
So he
Dang, great. Yeah, great
dabbles into
point, man.
the comic book world. But the thing with him is he is excellent as comic relief, as the
Yes.
stooge, as
Mhm.
the blind, willing participant, ride or die. Like he
Yep.
naively believes in Deacon Frost. We're
He
gonna
does.
be gods, and
Yeah.
Deacon's looking at him
Yeah.
like, "Yeah,
Yo,
we
what yeah,
are gonna."
yeah. What about the scene when he's talking to Deacon Frost? He's like, "Yo, man, you don't know how mad Bad
Yeah,
Blade is, but he's got this sword, he flips it up, he throws
and
it,
he
and
does the
Deacon
thing
Frost is
with
like,
the blade.
yeah, Deacon Frost's like, yeah, and then he catches it behind us. Shut the F up.
He hyping him
Right.
up.
It's just a it's like it's so good. It's like that's such a good scene, man. But it's
It
like it
is.
works because of how funny he's playing Quinn, like this kind of guy who just stumbled into being a vampire, but it's also kind of like a stooge, like you said.
Yeah, and I think the thing too that makes it really work is that, Blade is dangling him the entire time like bait. He's like, "I'm
Mhm.
tired of cutting you up." So he
Yep.
sets him on fire.
Yep.
The one of the things, and I know it's a little bit early, but one of the things that really perturbed me though was if Blade had finished him off earlier in the scene, would we have gotten Dr. Karen Jensen? Because she only gets brought into the world because she gets bit by
Yeah.
by Quinn. So,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but it's interesting how everything ties into itself.
Yeah. And I think that's like cool writing because
Yeah.
it kind of shows that. And then he also in the end, the way that Blade gets rid of him, you're like, oh, Blade could have did this the whole time. So there
Mhm.
is a part of Blade that like Blade is kind of playing with his food a little bit. Like he does that with Quinn during the whole movie. And
He
then at the
does.
end, Blade is just like, all right, everybody's got to die now. Because I'm Blade. At the end, it's like prime Blade.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But then, like, yo, just real quick. So they made two other movies after this. They made
Mhm.
Blade 2 and they made Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. You really like Blade 2 more than Blade 1. right?
Yeah, I do
So
actually.
break that down. Like, what made you say that?
Well, here's the thing. One, I think I didn't want to see Whistler, off himself. So I
Yeah.
was glad that he came back. All
Yep.
right. Two, the expansion of the universe gave me more detail and actually some
No
more
doubt.
meat to the bone and substance. And I was able to see like, oh, he really does travel. Sure. At the end of the first movie, it shows him in Russia. And
Yeah.
but you still don't get the sense of like it's such an expansive role that he plays in a very
Yeah. And like,
intricate part
yes. Yep.
until this other movie. And you're talking about like, oh, other continents have
Yeah.
heard about Blade.